Ryan Thomas here, right here on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, per usual. A lot to discuss in terms of the world of the National Football League. My previous content post, my previous video for you guys to check out on my YouTube channel. You can hit the subscribe button below or the follow button below, whether you're following me on Facebook or YouTube. The Thomas Take Sports Podcast is the name of the show. Ryan Thomas here, the host of the show, as you guys have seen over the course of the last 5-6 years. I love to have guests on the show, but oftentimes I greatly enjoy just firing away a hot take or giving a reaction take to recent news inside the world of the National Football League, inside the world of sports, combat sports, MMA, boxing, as well as One Bills Drive. And there is recent news that Buffalo Bills have brought back an essential piece to their roster, and that is none other than Isaiah McKenzie. Isaiah McKenzie is back in Buffalo for a 2-year deal, and this is massive news for Bills fans, because I know a ton of Bills fans were very, very excited to see him back. Very excited to see him. Actually, I'll go a little bit prior to that. They were very excited to see him rise up the ranks that is within the Bills depth chart and show more than what I think McDermott and Bean even realized what he was capable of. You know, Isaiah McKenzie was largely seen as a returner, more of a jet sweep type gadget wide receiver, where in an crucial moment here in the season last year, a very crucial moment, I would say, the Buffalo Bills are heading into New England for the second game against New England after they played a very windy game in Orchard Park, New York. And you start to see the Bills season last year have this weird ebb and flow to it where, yeah, they underachieved last year. And I think that's something that the Bills fans hate to admit, but losing games against Pittsburgh at home to open the season, losing games against Jacksonville, losing to Tennessee the way they did on that 1-yard quarterback sneak, you know, that was really unfortunate to lose games like that. And I think for the Buffalo Bills to be at the point that they're at right now as a franchise, it's a very tricky point because you're coming off a very tough loss. But you have to look at where were you successful, and in what areas were you able to find more success than what you anticipated. And I think Isaiah McKenzie is the first guy to come to mind when we talk about what area did the Bills succeed in that you least expected, or what player succeeded in a way that you least expected, what player showed out and showed more than what we expected in certain areas within the team, within the offense. Isaiah McKenzie is number one for me in terms of a player that was largely used as a returner, as a jet sweep type wide receiver, a gadget wide receiver, if you will. You see Isaiah McKenzie in that second matchup against the New England Patriots in Foxborough. Very crucial moment in the season for the Bills to get back revenge against the Patriots, who bullied their way, running the ball all over us in that first matchup with Damian Harris. So name wasn't coming to me, and then it did. Damian Harris running the ball on us in that first matchup. Isaiah McKenzie showed up and showed out on that day, played within a role that he had somewhat dipped his toes in the water of that role as far as being a slot receiver. But with Cole Beasley out due to testing positive for COVID, the Bills needed McKenzie to step up, and he did in that game. Double-digit catches, 2-3 touchdowns, if my memory serves me right, and over 100 yards on the day. And that, to me, signaled that, okay, 22-23 season, the 2022-2023 season would see Isaiah McKenzie as more of a slot receiver player within this offense, would see him more as a fit of just a pure slot receiver, that of a Cole Beasley, but Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie's younger than Cole Beasley. He's faster than Cole Beasley. And I think he can be used in different ways in comparison to Cole Beasley. So it made Cole Beasley essentially expendable. And right now, Cole Beasley is demanding requesting a trade. The Bills are allowing him to look at trades himself as far as where he could go. And I've heard absolutely nothing on that as far as whether Beasley has been able to find the right spot for him moving forward. Beasley has not been traded just yet. But to have Isaiah McKenzie back in the fold, I know that Isaiah McKenzie really wanted to return here. A great friend of the show, Tyler Dunn of GoLongTD.com. He has the Isaiah McKenzie show that he co-hosts, and they do that at Hamburg Brewing Company and a lot of other breweries in the area within Western New York. It's a great time. It's a great show. And Tyler Dunn, is able to kind of give me little tidbits about whether Isaiah McKenzie wants to be back or not, and plainly asking Isaiah McKenzie that question as to whether McKenzie wants to be back or not. And he did. And obviously his words rang true. He was speaking the truth. He wanted to return to Buffalo. He wanted to stay with the Bills. And now he's signed to a 2-year deal that keeps him here. And I think allows him to be a pivotal piece of the puzzle, a very crucial, pivotal piece of the puzzle for the Buffalo Bills, and in particular for their quarterback that they just signed to a gazillion-dollar deal, Josh Allen. You might have heard of him. So Isaiah McKenzie back in the fold, that's the best piece of news that we've heard as Bills fans this offseason. And frankly, I don't want to say this too soon, but unfortunately, it's really the only piece of good news that we've had in terms of the Buffalo Bills and keeping one of their own, bringing back a player. The caliber of Isaiah McKenzie, he's fast, he's shifty, he can catch, and realistically, he's just a great dude, a great teammate in this locker room, and is the only receiver that is still on the roster and that will be on the roster these next 2 years that started with Josh Allen in 2018. The only wide receiver left from Josh Allen's rookie season, Isaiah McKenzie. That's a fun fact of trivia there for Bills fans. So I look forward to seeing McKenzie in Buffalo Bills blue, red, and white, red, white, and blue. And I think this is great news. This is really the only news that we've had as Bills fans to really smile about. And I think the Bills are in the midst of a salary cap adjustment situation of an offseason where you have to have players go in order to create more money for you to spend more money on particular players. And this is whether they're new players or players of your own to sign, to re-sign long-term. Brandon Beane's got his work cut out for him this offseason as far as shifting money around and making this team better than it was last season. And to bring back a player like McKenzie, it's a big box that I think is checked off, and I'm happy to have Isaiah McKenzie back in Buffalo. What do you think of Isaiah McKenzie coming back to Buffalo? I think this is a move that most Bills fans will be smiling about, will be happy about, and it's a move that needed to happen, right, based on what he did for the team in crunch time, last season, heading into this season. Very excited to see Isaiah McKenzie back in the fold as he signs a 2-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. I'm Ryan Thomas. Thanks so much for tuning in to my reaction to Isaiah McKenzie remaining a Buffalo Bills wide receiver. I think this could be the best year of his career if, in fact, he is given that full slot role as a slot receiver in this offense. Ken Dorsey, I'm sure he wants to put his fingerprints on the playbook now that he is the offensive coordinator. I look forward to seeing how Ken Dorsey utilizes McKenzie in ways in which I think Brian Daboll missed the boat on. So there you have it. You can follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube. The Thomas Take Sports Podcast is the name of the show. On Facebook as well. You can like the page, the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. And, of course, as the ticker says, follow along at Ryan Thomas Take on Twitter and Instagram. Appreciate the support, Bills Mafia. Stay tuned for more content right here on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Go Bills.